think this is a better...
So, hi everybody, this is our wrap-up for the show, episode...
This is a better endeavor
39.
after we've done the show and like given a day, because then we can be like, oh yeah, we didn't talk about this bullshit.
You know what Eric wanted?
We're doing wrap-ups and we don't know how to do the format, so... You're just going to have to bear with us, I apologize.
Is it recording right now?
Yes, it is.
Fuck.
Don't worry about it. We'll edit out all the shit. That's the great thing. There'll just be parts where, like, we're here, and then all of a sudden
we always talk about editing things out, but we never do. We always just let it ride.
That is true.
Yeah.
So we just got done talking about Israel-Palestine. I interrupted Boggs a lot, and then Michael interrupted Boggs a lot.
So should I run this session?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Boggs is in charge.
Because I had so much to say about this subject, which is not true. I didn't really have much to say about this subject.
Man,
We basically hit on everything we wanted to. I mean,
not really.
Did we?
No.
Did we?
We did like we do every show. We half-ass hit on stuff, and then we
kept going.
then we go off on tangents.
So what did we miss?
So
I don't know. I forgot. A lot of stuff. See, the game plan of this eventually, and this is something we talk about, either doing this in the wrap-up session or doing an actual episode, maybe every handful or something, is doing a solutions portion to the shows. We always kind of give out half the information and then we go off on tangents and we never really go anywhere with them.
Yeah, we're pretty depressing a lot of times and we don't really give you any kind of insight as to how we think it should happen. We just kind of say, this is shit, and just leave it at that.
Yeah. Or if you're like Boggs, you just say, yeah. And that's pretty much as far as it goes. And then
that's not true. No, I mean, I gave a solution today.
What is the solution? To what problem?
To Israeli-Palestine.
Oh yeah, nuke
it's
Israel.
Too fucking late now, but no, my solution was when they first said, we need a place to put these people, look at the fucking Statue of Liberty and what it says, and what that message is supposed to be for America. Hey, let's take them into the country, and they can just live here.
I don't know if
and we'll speed up the
though.
immigration process for them.
I don't know if it was that simple.
Why?
Oh my god, what's that? Oh, the show?
Yeah, it's the fucking show, goddammit.
It's the show.
And now we're taking a picture of the wrap-up show.
Yes, and I'm gonna put this. I'll put this on for you guys.
Yeah, so go check out this retarded picture at Twitter.
See, if you're watching this, then you'll say, "Man, if I was on Twitter, I would have got this picture beforehand." This is what I'm gonna do because you guys are supposed to be talking.
I'm glad we decided
supposed
to do
be running
this because this is fucking awesome.
Is it?
It's not really turning out.
This is a goddamn debacle.
It is a debacle.
Well, I mean, the wrap-up show is just to get to stuff that we didn't get to, but honestly, this was probably one of the more wrapped-up topics we've really discussed.
No, it's not. It's not fucking wrapped up all. Because the problem is when we finish these goddamn shows all the time, because we're kind of getting choked up on time, because we end up spending the first 45 minutes going over stories, or we get off on fucking economic theory or something, and then we eat into it. So then we kind of
never happens. Quit lying.
So I always end up throwing a couple genius stories away, and these are actually things I already talked to with Eric last Saturday when we were going to do the show. And I thought I'd bring up again, this is something that we can probably talk about as a group, because Boggs has all night, he wants to hang out with us, he has nothing else to do. This past week in Philadelphia, they decided, the governor and the brain trust there decided they're going to shut down 23 public schools because they're trying to cut $300+ million out of the budget for deficit reasons. Then of course what they did was they turned around and they just, this is what I love the most. They decided to spend over $400 million. Remember, $300 million budget deficit, so we're going to close 23 schools to spend $400 million to open up a new prison.
Awesome.
Because the best thing about this country is the people who go to prison are the least educated most of the time. So what do? We shut down schools so more people can go and inhabit these privately owned prisons, because it's not like they're getting kickbacks or anything to the politicians that are help open them. Now, the thing about this was, of the schools, the percentage of the kids in it, this is what makes me crazy, is 81% of the kids in these schools that are being shut down are black students. And only 58% of the students in these locations in Philadelphia area, region where these schools are being shut down, are black. So, overall population, 58% are black, but in the schools that are being closed, 81%. Maybe a little bit of a disparity there, so you can kind of see where that's going, and who usually ends up in prison most of the time.
About 50% of the black population is
There you go.
one or another.
So, and this is what happened. I know I brought up this story. We talked about this a few weeks back, where Chicago did the same thing. It was almost the exact same thing. I think Chicago closed down like 50-some schools in their area to save on budget. I don't know how much it was that they were cutting back to save. It was the same thing. It was over 80% of the schools in those districts.
I'm
were
pretty
black
sure-
schools as well.
I'm pretty sure that we
Black
can
schools.
basically take everything we've ever discussed on the show and just say, if we funded education more from, I don't know, 1929 to now, instead of cutting education as much as we have, where the fuck would we be as just like a global population?
Well, if you think about that.
If it was the right education, man, I couldn't even imagine how advanced we'd be as a civilization.
I think about education, and then we've talked about before the drug policy. You know, I know we've talked about legalizing everything, but just marijuana itself. I mean, you're putting 250,000 people in prison every year on marijuana possession. So you take that into account, the cutbacks in the education, and see where that leads. I mean, I'm not saying it solves all the problems, but man,
We would have a whole new set of problems, and it would be a lot more. I just feel like there'd be less killing. There'd be a lot less shit to fight over like that. Because most of the time when we talk about this, we're fighting over people who are scared, over people who have no food or homes. Like there's so many things that encompass stuff that is just dominance over someone else, and a lot of that is you can't be educated and I can.
That's true.
How I feel about the way that we're running things.
He can't be educated.
Gotta love Whitey.
As you look at three white people.
There you go. Another thing, I brought this up there too. Eric's going to get beaten because he's heard all this shit, but I thought this was funny. I was doing the whole red state, blue state comparison with Eric on this, and this is kind of like the whole religious thing in states. Pennsylvania, of course, it just rip them for their fucking education thing, but they are more or less a blue state, even though they have a Republican governor, and they just celebrated, we're back in, it's the 50th anniversary, where they had a case that took, they used to have prayer in schools and Bible study and stuff. And this guy, his name was fucking Edward what the fuck is his name? Schmep. Shemp. Sorry, very tiny.
Shemp.
Very tiny writing. I'm trying to fucking look at this. I don't want to hold it
Don't
down.
let him fool you. You just can't read.
I don't want to fucking hold it up like this because I know everyone wants to see my face. But no, he took the state to school, or the state to court on it. And the Supreme Court actually voted an 8-1 decision that, you know, he's right. Freedom of religion, you got to take it out of the schools and stuff. So one of the state reps there, Mark Cohen, he put forth a bill, and I love this. It's called the Public School Religious Freedom Month. And all it is to celebrate just June of this year for the 50th anniversary, to celebrate the fact that they removed religion from schools where it doesn't belong. I love that. And actually one of the co-signers, and one of the co-signers on the bill, a Republican, so they're not all fucking crazy. However, in Texas, this is the difference, red state, this past week, our great governor, Rick Perry, came out to give the announcement because we passed what they call the Merry Christmas Bill. And I love this. It was him and one of the senators as a co-sponsor. His name was Robert Nichols. And this is what he said. Basically, this allows people in schools and other, I guess, public, institutions, they can actually use the words Merry Christmas and display religious figures, involved in these different holidays and stuff, of course, mainly aimed at Christmas because there's the war on Christmas and the liberal atheists are trying to take it away from the good Christians.
We did talk about the war on Christmas.
Exactly. So check that episode out. Some awesome musical performances. This is a great thing that Perry said.
Don't.
He said,
Please don't.
as Perry stood in front of the idiots in Texas and proclaimed this fucking bill being the greatness it is, he said, "I'm proud we are standing up for religious freedom in our state. Freedom of religion doesn't mean freedom from religion." So that's the difference between our state and theirs. And that senator who helped co-sponsor the thing, this is one of the things he said I thought was pretty interesting. He said, so challenges to these freedoms that we enjoy can come in a lot of different ways. They can come in very large ways like the war on terror, or our freedoms can be taken away in small ways like the removal of a Christmas tree from a classroom.
Yeah, fuck the thing that the government can detain you without any kind of trial whatsoever.
And wiretap
terrorist.
from-
But if you take down a Christmas tree, you're a son of a bitch.
Mhm. So that's kind of some of the stuff
I mean,
going on.
When you walk onto a public school, you lose your rights anyway. You can't carry a weapon onto a public school.
Yeah.
Do you have do you have the right to carry?
Actually, in Texas, they have passed that where on college campuses you can
College
carry,
campuses.
you can carry a weapon.
College campuses are not public domain though.
Texas.
Technically, that's a private institution.
Oh no, like
Now,
University
if
of
they're
Texas and stuff.
Texas
Those are
funded,
public. Those are public
that
funded schools.
shouldn't be the case. That's just the way it is. But that's,
Shouldn't be, but it
when you,
is.
especially when you walk into a public school though, for like a high school or whatever, you lose a lot of your rights anyway
Yeah.
for security reasons. Like walking in with a fucking gun. That's not who the fuck walks into a school with a gun. Like really, what purpose does it serve in school?
Adam
Right?
Lanza.
Yeah, either
Exactly.
you're
So-
psychotic looking to kill
Not
people,
funny.
or
You're a police
You're
officer and
a
you're given an
paranoid
exemption.
motherfucker
Or
who
you're,
doesn't need a gun anyway,
or you're a police officer and you're given an exemption.
or that.
But I mean, aside from you being an officer of the peace, there's no reason for you to have weaponry on schools, and you don't have a right to do that. You don't like the thing about a public domain like that is, and we've talked about this so much on the show, and it really pisses me off that we keep having to say it because we get beat down so often by people who comment on our sites from just hearing the same shit over and over again. I've been defeated, but if you can either accept all of it or you can accept none of it. And if you're not going to accept all of it, in other words, if you want to put your Christmas tree up, you probably need to go ahead and accept that some people need to lay down a mat and pray 5 times a day in a certain direction and fuck your classroom, right? It doesn't matter what time of day it is. It doesn't matter if it's science class. It doesn't matter if it's at their lunch break. That's what they do. And they should be able to have their symbols placed somewhere in the school. And and then it's like, well, if we're not even going to talk about religion, let's talk about race. Let's talk about, like African culture. Should they just be able to do whatever they want throughout the school and throw up stuff? Well, there's only so much space in a school that you can put cultural type things up. So if you're not going to have someone excluded, if you're not going to have something up, or if you find something's offensive, or if you find a practice is wrong, or if it's not school appropriate, or whatever the fuck it is, it's why you don't accept any of it. It's why you can't have Christmas stuff up. It's why you can't have Christian type stuff up. It's not because it's an affront to Christianity per se. It's the fact that this is not the place for it. This is a place to learn. This is a place to go and learn facts.
The Christians can just make it just like Israel-Palestine, where the majority of the school is Christian, and then you have like one little locker over here that's for Muslims, and another little locker over here that's for everybody else.
And a banner above the school could say "separate but equal," and we could go with that. That's what I mean though. Is like, it's a public domain. You should treat it as such. You're not allowed to do things in public like that for reasons, and it's not. I mean, it's kind of like if I were going to say like, what if part of my religious beliefs and something that gave me lots of pleasure was to do cannibalism stuff and just eat people.
That's a good place to stop.
I'm just saying that's
Boggs
that's
likes
part of the reason.
cannibalism and bestiality.
You heard it first, right here. All right, folks. I hope you enjoyed our wrap up on Israel-Palestine, where we talked about nothing Israel-Palestine.
Nah, fuck that. Since we didn't know what the fuck we're doing, and this is on the fucking fly, we're gonna start working in some skits. Boggs is gonna dress up in like little outfits for you and play some songs, and it'll be great. Just look for that in the future.
All right, everybody. Peace.
Later.